Hey, it's Christina with Tinagirl Travels, and we're here in Aqaba, Jordan. And we just arrived on a cruise ship and we are renting a car and driving to Petra. In this video, I will answer some of your most asked questions, like the costs, parking, accessibility, and the 5 most common scams to watch out for when visiting Petra. I'll also be sharing a bit of our personal story on what it's like to drive there as a day trip. Let's get started. I'm going to give you a quick little backstory here as we walk around our rental car. We visited Jordan in the month of March. We are on a cruise that stopped in Aqaba, Jordan, located right here. We are driving to Petra ourselves rather than taking a tour with the cruise lines. It was far cheaper and gave us some freedom. Actually met these friends online on the cruise roll call. If you're a cruiser, you can often find your sailing on Facebook or the website Cruise Critic. For this sailing, I actually created the roll call and these friends joined, and when we were planning our short excursions, they asked to join our road trip. And of course we said yes. How fun to meet new people. These two didn't even know each other and we ended up having a really fun day together. We've driven in lots of Middle Eastern countries, and after reading about the drivers in Jordan, we felt comfortable renting a car and driving ourselves. As you can see, the roads are pretty straightforward. One thing Keith did get was an international driver's license. It's super easy. He just went to our local BCAA, which is AAA in the United States. We never had to show the license, but if you travel a lot, it's good to have. Really, all it is a translation in multiple languages saying that you have a valid license in your country. Driving from Aqaba to Petra should take about an hour and a half. For us, it took about an hour longer, and if you watch my video on our road trip to Petra, you'll see where we made our wrong turn and had to backtrack. Other than that, the drive was very interesting. We followed Google Maps. There's not a lot of signage to Petra, so keep your eyes open. We picked up snacks in Aqaba, which turned out to be a really good idea. There's not too many places to stop along the way. I bought this date milk and it was fantastic. I still dream about this drink and I can't wait to go back to the Middle East so I can have it again. All right, when you arrive at Petra, parking can be a bit tricky, and I'm sure it all depends on the day you go and the time you arrive. But parking is free. Just drive around and look for a spot. You can check out the visitor center and then buy your tickets. Tickets cost 50 JD for foreigners, which is actually quite expensive. That's 70 US or 100 Canadian. And as you can see, it's way cheaper for locals. Even our friends from Alexandria, Egypt got in for cheaper. And if you're from Jordan, it's just over $1 to get in. Once you're inside the gates, it's a 4-kilometer walk to the treasury. It's a slight downhill grade the whole way. Now I have to tell you the very stupid mistake we made. At the ship in Aqaba, it was 25 degrees Celsius, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's the weather we dressed for. By the time we got to Petra, it was only 6 degrees Celsius or 42 Fahrenheit. It was windy and raining, and all I had on was a thin cotton tank top. Luckily, I brought a scarf, but it was super thin cotton as well. We were absolutely not prepared for the weather. We found the 4-kilometer walk to be very easy. There's lots to look at as you slowly make your way to the treasury, but there are options available for you if mobility is an issue for you. Those golf carts are the club cars. You can also hire a camel or even take a horse. I really encourage you to walk in at least one direction if you can, because there are so many details and interesting features along the way that you don't want to speed past. Unfortunately, we only had this one afternoon to spend at Petra, but there's actually so much to see that if you have the opportunity to stay overnight in the city, do that and spend 2 or 3 days exploring Petra. It's only a few dollars more to add those extra days onto your ticket. If you're limited in time like we were, it's still totally worth doing. I wish we hadn't lost that hour while we were driving. And did I mention that our little backseat friend slept in and lost us another hour? Yeah, we got over it, and this is one of those places we'll for sure come back to and plan to spend more time seeing. Your first glimpse of the treasury at the end of the winding canyon and the final reveal as the canyon opens up is absolutely breathtaking. Oh my gosh, so amazing. Honestly, it was so majestic, I almost cried. I can still hear it in my voice in the video. This iconic landmark carved into Petra's rose red cliffs stands about 40 meters tall. It's adorned with intricate Corinthian columns, mythological figures, and elaborate carvings influenced by Greek and Roman styles. While believed to have been a royal tomb, its true purpose remains a mystery. The name Treasury comes from a local legend claiming the urn atop the facade held hidden treasure. Though this has never been proven, for me, standing in front of this breathtaking structure felt like stepping back in time, surrounded by the incredible legacy of the Nabateans. It's a moment I'll never forget. You can't go inside the treasury in Petra. When we were there, it was guarded. The inside is small and simple compared to the amazing details on the outside. To protect it, visitors aren't allowed in, but just standing in front of it and seeing its size and beauty is an incredible experience. You won't forget it.
Interesting, I can show you in the map.
Just like any attraction in the world, there are people everywhere trying to sell you things or information. Just be polite and say no and walk away. Do your research before you go so you know the answers and don't need help from someone trying to make a buck. Here are the top 5 scams at Petra to look out for. Number 1 is overpriced camel, donkey, or horse rides. Some guides or handlers may advertise rides as included with your ticket, only to demand high tips afterwards. Always confirm the price beforehand. Number 2 is fake treasures for sale. Vendors might try to sell fake antique coins, jewelry, or artifacts, claiming that they're actually ancient items. These are mass-produced souvenirs. Don't fall for that. Number 3 is exaggerated prices. So prices for snacks, drinks, or souvenirs inside Petra can be much higher than outside. Bring your own water and snacks and you'll avoid this. We learned this the hard way, having to buy warmer clothes at the end of our day because we were soaked from rain and absolutely frozen. We ended up paying top dollar for a low quality sweatshirt. Number 4, guide services without clear costs. Some guides approach you claiming to offer free or inexpensive tours or information, but later they're going to demand a much higher payment. Make sure to agree on a price up front and check if they're licensed. Number 5 is the shortcut scam. Some locals might offer to show you a shortcut, and sometimes you'll see kids doing this. They're claiming to take you to famous sites like the monastery, but these paths are often longer, unsafe, or not shortcuts at all, and then they're going to demand money from you at the end. Don't let any of this stuff stop you from visiting Petra. It is worth your time and money. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been, and we will be going back. Petra dates back to around 300 BC, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Here are the opening hours. Get there early if you can. You can book a licensed tour guide at the Visitors Center, and they have guides that speak Arabic, English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, Russian, Dutch, Hebrew, and Greek. You can also get comprehensive maps there to make your visit easy. We really tried to carry on and go farther, but we ran into icy rain and crazy wind. When the wind whips through the winding canyons, it's almost impossible to keep going. It's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. All right, so we just visited Petra and we made a little mistake this morning. We did not check the weather. We just imagined that Petra would be warm and awesome and hot, and I wore a tank top with a little teeny tiny thin wrap. He's just wearing a thin cotton shirt, and it started raining and it's 6 degrees.
6 degrees.
Yeah. So thankfully I had this little hat We made it back to our car with our new overpriced but dry shirts. We waited for our road trip buddies and we headed back to Aqaba to get on board our ship. This was a very interesting cruise around the Red Sea. We visited Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan. I have some great videos on those adventures that you can check out on my channel. On our way home, we stopped at a gas station to pick up some gas, and Keith got himself a road trip coffee, super strong Arabic coffee to warm himself up. The landscape in Jordan is very interesting. It reminded us a little bit of a road trip that we did in Oman. Sort of that lunar landscape feeling. It feels like you could be driving on the moon. There's lots of rocks and very little vegetation. The weather was constantly changing, but driving here felt very safe. We never ran into any problems. The other drivers were generally safe. We didn't see any crazy driving like we did in Egypt. We arrived back in Aqaba with a little time to spare. We said goodbye to our road trip buddies. We dropped off the rental car and bought a few souvenirs and got back on the ship. I've added links below to the Petra website, and I've added links to our favorite anti-theft or anti-pickpocket backpacks, day packs, and crossbody bags that we always travel with. Tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell for more of our travel adventures. If you're thinking of driving to Petra yourself, here's the video on the actual drive we did to Petra if you want to see what that looks like, and a link to a video that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Thanks for watching Tinagirl Travels, and I'll see you soon in Morocco.